Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You mean to wish me a good morning, or do you mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not?
Please go away. Let me speak for the love of God.
It's Monday. Hope you're ready for some good movies.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever time it is wherever you are right now.
What was that?
This is Good Movie Monday.
What was that show? Wasn't there a TV show or like they did in different languages? There was Buono Estente, Arrivederci. No, it's, Bonjour, butter, and there. I can't remember them. I'm sure it was a TV show. It was like a good night and good luck type.
Yeah, gotcha.
Type of sign, like a sign-on thing.
Well, I guess it's an intro.
That's it. Yeah.
It's an intro. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for listening. This is, I guess, the podcast dedicated to nerdy cinematic ramblings. If you're a first-time listener, awesome. Thank you for giving us a try. I'm your host, Glenn Helwig, and over there is Ben Cochran.
Good luck trying to find us on social media.
That's right. That's why we do it. We've been doing this shit for ages, so if you are new, go to our website, goodmoviemonday.com, and you can find back catalogue. There's so many episodes, lots of famous people we talk to, other locals in the circles, in the film circles that we yak to, and videos galore.
And plenty of ramblings.
But there's nothing but rambles, mate. That's what we're good
Non-stop
at.
ramblings.
Yes.
This whole podcast is one big segue.
Yeah.
Not segue, a tangent.
Yeah.
One big tangent.
That's right. Yeah, terrific tangents.
Yeah.
Tuesday, maybe we should rename it.
Yeah. Give us an extra day.
Yeah. But yeah, fuck tons of stuff. Let's just put it that way. Idiotic conversations and bullshit.
I like the term fuck tons.
Fuck tons is good.
It's a good term.
Yeah, if only we could call the podcast that. Fuck tons of fun.
Do you think fuck tons is like an Australian only?
Well, I've never heard it until I just said it.
Yeah, have you heard of the phrase fuck tons?
I guess it's been said around.
Yeah, it's been around.
Yeah,
Like,
fuck tons, shit tons.
I've definitely heard fuck tons.
Okay.
But I'm curious though. Like I know, we're not here to fuck spiders is an Australian one,
Yeah.
which I only heard like a couple of years ago, but has been around.
Once you hear it, then it's everywhere.
But is fuck ton another one?
I reckon
That's
it might
uniquely Australian.
Yeah, we know how to harness the swear word, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're a lot more cavalier with swearing than they are in the US and the UK.
I guess it's given us a title for this episode.
Yeah.
Put it that way. I'm always looking for a title.
And now we've got one.
Exactly. Thanks, Ben. Look, as I said, most weeks, not all weeks, but most weeks we talk to filmmakers and whatnot. And we've got a beauty this week. Ben and I caught up with a filmmaker called Sam Curtin, who has a brand new movie called Beaten to Death. And it's a very brutal and unrelenting movie. And Ben and I are going to pick his brains about that in a little bit. We're also going to have Jarrett Garn. He's a regular every week that comes and talks about physical media, what's new on 4K and Blu-ray, and occasionally...
Yeah, occasionally a DVD an SD.
A filthy DVD,
A
as
filthy
he says.
DVD will sneak through.
And the Boneheads. They'll be around a bit later to impart their Kentucky twang upon us. They've got some good stuff too going at the moment, so you can find them at Bonehead Weekly, wherever you get podcasts from.
And they're a video cast, so you can see all their purdy mouths.
Yeah, and Joe has a purdy mouth.
Purdy mouth.
That's on YouTube. Definitely check that. We're on YouTube too, mate. Like they can see your purdy mouth too.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like watching Deliverance all over again.
Just cover that up. They don't get that. They don't get to see the purdy mouth for free. That's for my OnlyFans.
Yes. Normally, this particular episode would be a Melzy episode, but she's evaded us for the last 2 times she's supposed to be on her appointed slots. But
Got better things to do. I saw her on the internet the other day beating the bejesus out of a bunch of kids in a parent-children soccer game.
Yes.
When she's just knocking them down left, right and centre like they're bowling pins.
Melzy, if you are new, is one of our teamsters. She's from the Melbourne Horror Film Society, and she does come in every single month. But this episode today drops on Easter Monday, so she does have family commitments and couldn't make it. So that just says a lot for us, Ben, that we don't have anywhere else to be.
No. I was very disappointed to learn that the supermarket was closed today,
Yeah.
but quite happy to learn that the fast food
Yes.
restaurants are all open, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Half 6 of one, half a dozen of the
Well,
other.
they know who their
Yeah,
customers
yeah.
are.
Yeah, I go down to the fish and chip shop so I can have fish. I don't know if that's a Friday or a Monday thing.
That's
I
a
don't know.
Friday thing. That's a Friday.
Is it a Friday thing?
Yep.
Friday for the fish?
Yeah. That's why the fillet of fish or filet-o fish, if you're American, that's why that was invented.
Yeah,
So
right.
McDonald's could actually sell
sell
something
something
on
on
Good Friday.
Friday.
You know, particularly in that certain parts of America where it's very religious.
Those silly Christians.
Well, I mean, the fillet of fish is not a bad bite.
I mean, look, there's always been those jokes about the only reason they can call it 100% beef is because the company is 100%
Yep,
beef. And
yep.
you hear about all of that, but the fish,
It's slurry.
the fish one, yeah, I'm like, if it's not an actual piece of fish,
Yep.
what is it? Like,
Well, crab sticks are not crab.
yeah, of course not.
Yeah, it's the
Crab's
same-
expensive.
It's slurry.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. Anyway, what are we talking
Yeah,
about?
I don't like. It's one of those things where like once I come to terms with it, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I still like chicken loaf. I don't know it's 90% waddle and claw,
It doesn't matter.
and it
Hot
it's
dogs?
reconstituted. Yeah, hot dogs. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's nothing but horse assholes. That's fine.
Lip smackers.
I've come to terms with that, and it's like the people who drink Diet Coke and Coke Zero and stuff like that. You're like, look, man, you're drinking Coke.
You know what?
Don't drink it.
The funny thing is, like, quite often, and look, I'm very much stereotyping here, but it's usually larger people that are drinking that.
The
Yeah,
Coke Zero.
the Coke Zero.
Yeah. I just remembered Jack Black in that Tenacious D comedy album where they're like, I'm on a diet, so give me half real Coke and half Diet Coke because I'm on a fucking diet.
I
It's
mean,
like if you're gonna drink Coke,
yeah,
you're obviously not dieting.
no, drink it.
Just fucking drink it.
Yeah.
As bad as the Coke is for you, anything that the bad Coke does to your body,
Mm-hmm.
the sugar-free version is doing just as worse, just as poorly in some other way.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just gone off fizzy drinks. That's just how I handle it.
That's how you have to. Like
Yeah.
you have to sit through that 3-day headache
Yeah.
when you come down off the caffeine and sugar.
Yep. And boy, that's a headache, I tell you.
And your dentist will thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where this episode's going.
No, we just it's the
but
Good Food Podcast.
We're gonna. Well, I mean,
I
guess
know you. I know you're a foodie at heart, Glenn.
I am.
I've seen that secret YouTube channel you've got, or the Facebook group, sorry.
Facebook group.
And I keep sending you stuff on Instagram in the hopes that one day I'll come around and you'll have made
Ooh.
one of those things.
If I knew that was your intention, because I don't abide by recipes. That's the thing.
Yeah, right. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, half of them aren't real recipes. They're just, here's a McDonald's burger. Here's 10 McDonald's burgers that we've just put into a pie pastry.
Got it. Oh, I do that kind of shit. Absolutely. I love making a Big Mac taco. That's one of my favorite things to do. Yeah, you'll have to
Yeah.
come over for one of those. Cheeseburger tacos are pretty good too. You'd probably prefer that because of the lettuce.
'cause, I don't eat the lettuce.
Yeah, well, there we go. Beaten to death. That's the theme of this particular episode. And I guess if you keep eating that shit, you're beating your body to death.
That's right. And we're going to talk about eggs for the rest of the show. We have 1,001 egg recipes.
Actually, what I want to know is the movie Beaten to Death that we're going to be talking about later. How would you define it? What kind of genre even is this?
Revenge thriller?
I can't really nail it. Like, is it a horror movie? Is it? I mean, it's got a lot of gore in it, but it's not quite.
It's not really a jump scare kind of.
No, it's just relentless.
But it's not really a thriller. It's like it's like an exercise in stamina. Like who's going to last longer, you or the filmmakers?
That's right. Okay, extreme.
Extreme.
It is relentless. What do you think of extreme cinema in general? Like, are you a fan? I know when I think even before I met you and I knew about you, you were sort of just, on my peripheral. You were posting lots of, dank kind of shit all over Facebook back in those days.
Most of the time, they had a masturbatorial bent to them.
No, I reckon there's some pretty nasty, gory stuff in there as well.
Yeah, well, look, anything that would make a dent in the Facebook or live journal even earlier kind of scene.
Yep.
Look, some I like, some I don't like. The one that I really had a problem with, funnily enough, was a Serbian film.
Right, yep.
Because I thought that was just so incredibly... That was done... Like, they had you know, they had gone on a mission to make it extreme
Yep.
with very little regard to the aesthetics of making an actual film.
You know, it's quite an interesting one you say, because I think most Westerners kind of react that way, and yet if you talk to people from that part of the world, they come at it completely differently.
Yeah,
they
right.
see the allegory for, you know, what's going on in
For
their
what's going
country.
on, yeah. Look, and,
Yeah.
you know, look, we released at Monster Pictures. We released Life and Death of a Porno Gang, which is in the same set in the same region.
Yep.
About a troupe of traveling stage performers who, on the sly, make snuff films.
Yeah, on the sly. I
On the
love
sly, using like villagers who have never seen a TV,
Yeah,
let alone, you know.
it's a great concept.
And there's some. I mean, that movie is totally fucked up. But I found those ones
Yeah.
to be more movie-like.
Yeah,
Whereas
cinematic.
Cinematic.
Yeah.
I just like Serbian. It just bothered. I remember. Look, I've only seen it once.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to go back and watch
You
it
don't-
again.
You don't. I mean, I watched it recently, as in maybe 3 months ago, and I mean, I appreciated the technical aspects of it, but it's just not an enjoyable story.
No, no. It's just like like I'd rather see the one. The one I am kind of curious to see is Tom Six, the filmmaker behind the Human Centipede films.
Yes.
His latest one,
Mhm.
I think it's called the Onania Club,
Yeah, it sounds about right.
which is about a bunch of people who get off on tragedy, basically.
yeah.
Like, and so they have these clubs where they basically have like, masturbation parties to scenes of car crashes.
Yeah,
and,
it's like Crash.
yeah. I'm curious to see how he's done with that, because he's usually a pretty kind of subversive
Yeah.
filmmaker, and he does it. I mean, he definitely does it to
Be
create a
provocative.
stir.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that movie hasn't come out is probably because they were looking for too much money,
Right.
and no one has.
He thought he could lean into the whole reputation of Human Centipede and do something.
and make as much
Yeah.
without any of the buzz of Human Centipede. But that's just a personal opinion.
Yeah.
But yet to this day, as far as I know, that film has not been released.
Yeah. No,
So
I haven't seen it.
I am
anyway.
curious my colleague Grant watched it
Mm-hmm.
and said it was a complete piece of shit.
Right. Okay. I mean,
But-
I find like extreme cinema like that. It's funny. The older you get, the softer you get. I think. You know, I used to, as a younger guy, would enjoy the most extreme films. You know, I think it was more just because I like the fact they could do it.
Yeah.
And no one could tell them they couldn't. And I think that's why I appreciate that there are films like Human Centipede. And Human Centipede's fun regardless, but
Yeah. I thought Human Centipede was quite clever. Human Centipede 2 was just as clever, and they
Yes,
completely
yes.
kind of
That was
reversed the
probably
paradigm.
one of my favorite extreme films is number 2.
and,
I
you know.
thought that was hilarious as well.
But then there's stuff like the video nasties,
Yes.
which you would consider to be extreme cinema then.
Yep.
Not so much now,
Well,
like
the guinea
we've
pig
evolved,
films.
but the guinea pig films.
Yeah. Yep.
What was the other category 3 one? Ebola syndrome.
Yep. Yep.
Where he fucks the chicken.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
John
you
Waters
know.
did it first.
What was the other one? Untold Story? Is that the other
Don't
one
know.
where the poster is the girl with the 2 skeleton arms?
Oh yes, I haven't seen it. I know of it.
Like they've dipped her arms in acid or
yeah,
lye
I
or
love
something,
that
and it's
shit. I do
stripped all
love
the
that
skin.
shit, like that kind of artwork. I mean, I'm kind of keen to see the Profane exhibit. That's one that's been floating around for years. I think it's like a follow up to the Theatre Bazaar.
Yep.
Just
Oh, that was the Theatre Bazaar. I think wasn't that David Gregory at Seven Films? He
yeah, I
produced,
think so. I
Theatre
think so.
Bazaar.
And it's like it's an anthology and whatnot. But
Yeah.
all right,
What
cool.
about the Necromantic? The Necromantic.
You know, I've
films?
got those, and what I find really repulsive about Necromantic is not the content of the film, but the smell of my DVD cases. You open them up, and I reckon they put the smell of rot inside them. It just fucking reeks. And I can't think of that film without thinking of that. Really, it's like the plastic has absorbed some kind of rot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've
gross.
made it out of like it's recycled. It's recycled
Jeez.
organs.
It's recycled piss and blood.
Yeah, blood cum,
Well, I mean,
which I think they do at the end of. I
Yes,
can't remember. Is it the
yes.
first or the second
it's
one?
the
where
first
he's-
one.
Yeah,
Yes, it's
there's a lot of blood coming out of there.
Now, look, just if you are new to the show, this is the way it's going to be for the rest of the episode, okay? We're talking about extreme cinema, so we're going to talk about things like piss and cum and blood.
Yeah,
I guess there's no better way to bring Jared into the show. I don't know.
and on that,
No, we'll get to him in a moment.
speaking of blood and cum, let's cut to Jarrett.
No, actually, do you remember those guys from Harold and Kumar, the extreme guys? Extreme!
Yeah,
I should have started the show like that.
yeah.
No,
Get
but
the
what
clip in there.
what I wanted to talk about really quickly is that I saw a movie last week and you didn't join me for it. It was Godzilla times Kong: The New Empire.
Yeah, I just
Where were you, mate?
I just don't like. I don't like those films.
Yeah.
I haven't tried. Even Monarch, I haven't been able to watch, even though it's got Kurt Russell in it.
Yeah.
I just could not give less of a
funny.
shit. I don't understand the fascination with Godzilla.
Okay,
I've
well-
never had, because he's a fucking lizard, right?
Well, I do. Like, I've loved any kaiju kind of movie back in the 60s, like through the 50s, 60s, and Kong goes back to the 30s, so he's the older one, right?
Yeah.
I kind of like those shoddy ones from the 80s. I've got all of the
Yeah,
originals.
look, don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with man in a suit stomping
Yeah.
Tokyo or any of that sort of stuff. What I don't like,
Yeah.
and why I prefer, like, of the two, I prefer Kong over
Yes, me too.
Godzilla,
Me too.
mainly because Kong is a
There's humanity.
primate
There's humanity.
and has a personality,
Yes.
whereas lizards
Yeah.
have no personality.
Well, until now. This is interesting. So I went into this, as you know, really, really, really low expectations. Was not particularly looking forward to it. But I got to say, I had the same reaction to this one that I did with Transformers Rise of the Beast. Like, it felt like a Saturday morning cartoon come to life. Like, it really had heaps of entertainment value. Fucking makes no sense. The human characters don't even need to be there.
Yeah.
And admittedly, Adam Wingard, the director,
Yeah.
just loaded it full of like synth pop and rock music to make it feel like Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's kind of weird. And then they give Kong this like bionic arm, and it's so dumb. And yet the cartoon value is there. Like, if you're a kid, this is fucking gorgeous. Like, this is
see,
your
but
movie.
When you say cartoon value,
Yeah.
in my head, that means every time King Kong runs anywhere, it goes scabble gabble gabble. And there's like a
Like a Looney Tunes.
yeah, like a thing. And when he runs through a mountain, there's like a Kong shaped.
No, this
cut
is
out.
more like your your Saturday morning Voltron type of
Right, like a
Transformers
serious
type of thing.
one.
Yeah, and when they're running, you do get like a synth pop, and it's slow mo, lots of slow mo. They almost do the whole fucking the fist bump arm slam in Predator, where you son of a bitch. You remember
Between
that?
Kong and-
yeah. They kind of it
Godzilla?
turns into a bromance, right? And they're taking shit on, and when everything's done and dusted and the dust settles, they look at each other and give themselves a nod, and then they
Isn't
go
that the
separate
thing in the
ways.
last one? Like, they find that giant monolith with all of the statues of the Kongs that have been killed by Godzillas.
This has like a kingdom below Hollow Earth. Like, it's a kingdom upon a
Right.
kingdom that's upon a kingdom. Like, it's just so many layers of bullshit going on, and it's
Right.
dumb. And yeah, it makes no sense. But
Like, they're really trying hard with the mythology to
But,
try and
yeah,
build something
But
out
at the
of
same
nothing.
time, you can't help but just have fun. And I think
Yeah.
when I was in the cinema full of people, everyone had fun. And the reviews have been pretty good.
Yeah, look, I'm sure, for the right kind of person,
Yeah.
this will be great. I just because it was also playing at Melbourne Central, I believe, is that right?
No, this one was a Jam Factory that I saw.
Oh, well, then that's
Yeah.
usually I would go. I mean, I couldn't have gone, but
yeah. Well, anyway, I thought it was quite fun. Wasn't expecting it to be, so a little bit of a surprise there. And I just you can't help but think of the death toll every time they just smack down. That's like 1,000 people dead.
yeah, like you think about the toll on the city of Japan,
Yeah,
or the city of Japan, the city of Tokyo, or wherever in Japan Godzilla's rampaging through in the Godzilla movies.
yep.
It's like the economic destruction would be as bad as the loss of human life.
Got to tell you, really, really bad timing too, because there is a scene where they destroy a bridge in very similar fashion to the bridge that was just destroyed in the States
Oops.
last week, and it's like almost the camera angle's identical to the news footage. Anyway, there we go. Kong, Godzilla.
What's it called?
Oh, it's called Godzilla times Kong,
Right.
the New Empire. And the times is, I didn't know this, when you put a times between two names, that means collaboration.
Yeah, so we had Fangoria X times Monster Fest.
That's
when they
right.
Were
And that
sponsor
never
of-
made sense to me until I had to research
had to
this
read
one.
this. Yeah, no, it didn't. I was at the time. I was like, can't it just be fucking
Yeah,
presents?
I'm shit at math.
Yeah. How do you do that? 0 times 0. It makes no sense. They're neither of them are numbers.
Man, that was so fucking extreme. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not so extreme and 10 being extremely extreme, I give this a 9.5. Check it out, Extreme Cheddar.
Well, it's time to get physical, and Jarrett wants to hear your body talk. So go for it, Jared.
All right. Well, I'll try and keep it as brief as possible because there's a lot of releases coming out this week. So I'll keep the body moving
Hang
to
on,
a
Ben
minimum.
just like scoffed at me, like, dude, I'll get you to introduce him next week.
No. I was actually looking around for my copy of Heavenly Bodies.
Oh, okay.
I was all down for the workout tape metaphors.
Look, I admit I didn't think it through. All right, go for it, Jared.
Ben's recall, it's like Heavenly Bodies is like positioned just above like just simple words so that it can just drop in at any point in conversation. But it is a big week for home entertainment, guys, so I will try and keep it as brief as possible.
All
right. First up, we've got from Sony Pictures, Anyone But You, which I believe both of you lads liked. You saw theatrically earlier this year.
Like is a very strong word.
Yeah.
Okay. Enjoyed?
Look,
Mildly.
Yeah. Look, I'm not in a hurry to see it. I love a rom-com. I just didn't see the appeal. The trailer didn't get me. The poster, just everything about this film seemed, I don't know, like there was just nothing behind it. But then it did massive box office, enough that they reissued it in cinemas with some extra deleted scenes or something. Yeah. But anyway,
boobs. More boobs.
Oh, well, there you go. Sydney Sweeney doing it, what she
just
does.
Less Brian Brown. Less Brian Brown.
Right. Oh, that's a shame because typically I want more Brian Brown.
No, like Brian Brown.
Sydney Sweeney.
Less token.
Mate, you're turning into something from Cocoon.
Yeah, I know.
He's slowly getting wider and wider.
It's
very strange, but the Blu-ray.
I'm about to get cancelled. It's just warning me.
I could be Wilfred Brimley and just cradle you in my arms right now.
With those soft hands, Ben.
Yeah.
Now, it is coming out on Blu-ray and DVD, and it actually has some special features. There's full featurettes, deleted scenes, outtakes, and bloopers. So do what you will with that. Aside from that, there's another title coming out from... Actually, I should mention anything that I'm saying Sony or Universal, it's all coming out through All Interactive Distribution, but I'm just going to reference the studio. So the next one is All Interactive, but it's from Universal. It's The Holdovers, which I know both of you loved. I think it might have been...
Best film of the year. Best film of the year.
It's made your #1 film of last year, didn't it?
Yeah. If not top 3 for sure.
Yeah. So that one's coming out to collector's edition, which means you get 2 featurettes, deleted scenes, and an alternate ending. You don't get a commentary, but maybe they'll do a Criterion release of it down the track, given how popular it was.
But how does the Holdovers collector's edition stack up to the Anyone But You regular edition that seems to have more extras in it?
Exactly. Go figure. The other title I mentioned, but I won't go into detail, Migration's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD. I'm not big on animated films, but I love birds, and I probably will end up
that was a
checking
fun one.
it
That was a really nice one too. That had a lot of heart to it. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And it's the mob that did Minions and things like that. Imagination.
I think so, which I don't like those. It is, Illumination.
Yeah.
I don't like those movies.
Illumination.
I think this one I might have enjoyed more than everything else that they've put out.
Cool. Well, I definitely want to check that one out. Then I'll move on to Mad Men. And they're releasing one of the Oscar contenders. Well, it lost the Oscar. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched that already. Anyway, The Words in My Mouth are Anatomy of a Fall. Blu-ray and DVD coming out. Can't tell you if there's any special feature content on this release. But anyway, it's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD. I haven't had an opportunity to check it out. I am quite eager to see it. If anything, just to see the dog. I heard the performance is phenomenal. So
look, I had it spoiled for me, so I'm going to try to forget about it before I go back to it.
You can watch it after that one Ben mentioned on last week's podcast. I can't remember what it was now. Oh, Dirty Pretty Things. So, just bank it toward the end of the year.
I don't think I spoiled it. It's like they find the heart in
No.
It's the opening scenes of the movie.
Okay, well, we were good then. And we've still got till June or so until that box set's released. So then I'll just do the old Men in Black on you. Eagle Entertainment, I will mention 2 releases that are coming out. First of which is Control, which is the Kevin Spacey. I think he does the voice of the car or something, doesn't he?
He's the voice of the hijacker or whoever.
Yeah, right. It seems awfully similar to Retribution with Liam Neeson that came out.
100%.
I haven't seen this one. I will give it a watch. I know that they had a lot of trouble placing this film into film festivals.
Yes, obviously.
Nobody wanted to touch it because of obviously the Kevin Spacey thing. The other release I want to mention is one that's right down your alley, Glenn. The Exorcists, which is coming out, which has artwork that looks identical to Exorcist Believer and has Doug Bradley in it as well from Hellraiser.
The Hell Priest becomes the priest.
And was it any good?
Look, it was okay, serviceable.
Yeah.
For the type of stuff that Umbrella put out. The fact that it's also an asylum film. It doesn't
Oh,
feel
okay,
like
it's
a regular
asylum.
asylum film. Like they've actually tried to
Right,
make a film
Okay,
as
interesting.
opposed to
Yeah.
something schlocky and B. But yeah, look, the concept and the gist of it is that there's like multiple exorcists that come in to get rid of this demon.
Oh, okay.
It's like
so
it's a priest or
it's a gangbang of exorcisms.
That's right.
Okay.
They should be competing exorcists. It should be like
All denominations, different religions, and that all trying to.
all competing with each other to exorcise this demon.
Yeah, they
They
should
should
hold
get
hands.
that chap. I can't remember his name. The Hebrew Hammer. Get him in there. Put a little bit of light comedy in there.
Adam Solomon or something like that.
Yeah, Adam something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Adam
Uh,
Goldberg.
That's it. Goldberg.
Adam Goldberg. That's it. Now, one I do want to mention that I am keen to check
Ben's
out. I
trying to
don't,
avoid the light.
don't think this one's
I need
getting
a
a
hat.
Blu-ray, but I could be proven wrong. I will consult Glenn on that one. It's coming out from Pinnacle, and the only reason I'm mentioning it is because I was impressed by the trailer, and you actually did an interview with the director. Oh, I don't know if it was late last year when it went theatrical. The Secret Kingdom.
Oh yeah, Matthew Drummond.
Yeah, and it just looked fantastic. It
It
looked
is.
like a real throwback
a
to
real-
80s
Yeah,
fantasy.
I love
family
this guy.
films.
I think he's really underappreciated. He's making kids movies in Australia that are high concept. His last one was My Pet Dinosaur. The digital effects of these creatures are fantastic, and this movie plays out like Return to Oz meets Mirror Mask meets Neverending Story. It's sort of that kind of thing.
It just, honestly, it looked like enchanting, like a
Great production, great
genuine
production.
80s fantasy film, but with
Yeah,
the
I
special
loved
effects
it.
we can do
I loved
now.
it. Yeah.
Then
I'm
the
gonna be
last
honest
one I
with you
want.
guys, I didn't think Pinnacle was still in business.
Well, Pinnacle,
AI.
Pinnacle is AID, so I
Yeah.
feel like
Right.
they're back in business because they're distributing all the major catalogs, so they can go, hey, here's the new
Sneak it under.
Sydney Sweeney film, and by the way, we've also got this one for the kids.
Yeah, if you want this Sydney Sweeney film, you've also got to take.
You've
this.
got to take the one with the kids,
Yeah.
take the kids movie, which is good because Pinnacle at a point were distributing a lot of Australian content.
Yep.
So it means if it's something maybe doesn't fit under Umbrella's umbrella, maybe it can like go through Pinnacle and get a release as well.
And look, Pinnacle have actually put some effort into some of their releases in the past, like as
Oh,
far as their
totally,
artwork and
totally.
stuff's concerned. So
It's just the last releases that I can recall because they were sort of more documentary or,
yeah,
not necessarily requiring Blu-ray or that. They were putting them out to DVD. But now this AID thing with the majors, maybe they'll get some more content to put out on Blu-ray and whatnot.
Yep.
The last one I want to mention is one that I think will interest you, Glenn. Ben and I have already seen this one. It's the fish that John West rejects that makes Monster Fest the best. It's The Piper with Julian Sands. I believe it's Julian Sands' last film, and this one's going direct to DVD. It's coming out this week.
I saw the artwork and it's doing that. It's just towing the line of what horror should look like in poster art and shit like that. So it
Yeah.
looks like every other fucking horror movie that's come.
That was
out,
the
so.
strongest thing about it. It's probably the poster art because
Yeah.
the film was not thrilling, and we were really in a tough position not to take it. But we just put the fist down and we said we can't have it. Like people want to see Julian Sands again, sure, but maybe just watch Warlock again or anything he's done, Gothic, any of the films. A Room with the View, even. I think you might even see his penis in that one, so that's a
I
bonus.
don't know, we need to play a drinking game with that one. I don't know how many times you said that.
Yeah,
You're
it's
obsessed
true.
with
And
it.
he,
I think you should
Can't
play a
remember, you
drinking game every
you
time.
might see it in Gothic as well. I can't remember. It's been a while since I watched Ken Russell's
Well,
Gothic.
Ben and I
but-
saw his dick in Warlock Armageddon.
Oh, well, I would have seen it with you and Sean when we recorded that podcast where we watched all three of them in a row. That last
Okay,
one, God,
You almost had to.
that's it. Well, we had to watch the third one. That was
Yeah,
the punishment.
that's right.
I'd never seen it, but we had to see it out.
Yeah.
And look, I've seen it once, and I'll never watch it again. Oh, look, I lie. I probably will out of curiosity. I'm a
Yeah.
sad guy, so
No, that's how
no
I
doubt I
function.
will. Anyway, gentlemen, that's all the releases we've got this
All
week.
right,
Now,
before
I can see
you
you've got something, Glenn.
before you throw it out, I just want to say for people that are listening to this as part of the show, you really, really want to catch the video on YouTube and Facebook because Ben is just doing glorious things with his light, and it's just a thing to behold, and it makes more context of what we're saying.
And I'm gonna just announce this here. Next week, I will be coming to you from a new computer, so I imagine the quality might be a little bit better. I might have to find a way that I can put a soft sort of focus on myself. But I'm even going to try and change the background, and maybe I'll put one of the key releases behind. But another thing, I'm also going to bring show and tell every now and again to the show. So where I get something and I just want to quickly show you what it looks like, because now you're doing the videos on, the social media and on YouTube. It's a good opportunity to kind of show off some of the cool stuff that comes past my desk, which I've got nothing local here. I've just got this film Decision to Leave, which I'm very excited about checking
that's an
out.
apt title for.
There you go. And
I happen to have this by my desk right now. The
Oh.
Mario Brothers, the
that,
fancy.
that's your retirement fund right there. You can put that
That's
thing
right.
on eBay and probably end up with $1,500 right there. Oh, actually, on that note, Umbrella did announce that they're going to do a second run with alternate artwork, and I think the books are all softback and that. It's retailing for the same price. It's still a very cool edition. It's just a little less frilly than the last one, but it's a good opportunity for all the collectors who missed out first time around to pick it up. And I think they've dubbed it the one-up edition. So it's great that they're doing that, because that thing was impossible, and no one should be paying $800 for something that retailed for under $200. So hats off to them. Anyway, gentlemen, that's it for me this week. So until next time, 3, 2,
Fucking hell.
stay physical.
It's Terrific TV Tuesday, the only Tuesday TV segment that drops on a Monday.
So, have you managed to come up with any more jingles for other parts of the show? Yep.
No, but I did. I did hear Matt O'Neill's little his Puppetoon stand-up comedy.
Everybody, comedian Matt O'Neill, go to his Facebook page and look at the animations he's been putting up. They are stunning.
They're great. And I heard his theme song there. I'm like, I wonder if I can get Matt to do a theme song for Terrific TV Tuesday.
No, we've got one for Terrific
No
TV
one
Tuesday.
to do the whole thing.
We need one for another segment.
I like to sing it along.
Maybe for Jarrett's, PE class. Well, there's some good fodder right there.
Do you need to pee? It's time for PE class.
Strip off.
Hit the showers.
All right. Well, thank you for the jingle. I'm still not over how good it is. It just does it for me every week. So we're going to talk about television on a Monday, pretending it's a Tuesday.
It's a Terrific TV Tuesday. Like, people should just stop at this point in the show. Wait till Tuesday, and then listen to it then.
Yes, I'm going to stick with the theme of cancelled television. The last few weeks I've been picking things that have been cancelled, and I think anyone that's into horror, I'm going to keep it kind of in line with extreme cinema and stuff like that. I'm going Masters of Horror. So the classic anthology series that ran for 2 seasons from 2005 to 2007 had 26 episodes, created by Mick Garris, friend of the show and friend of anyone that's in the horror community, apparently, Mr. Nice Guy himself. And this show was inspired by the Masters of Horror dinners that he used to host, which if you follow him on Facebook and go through his photo galleries, you'll see some incredible photos of these lunches. Everyone that you can imagine that's in horror would attend these dinners. And so they all got together and conspired to create this anthology TV show. And I don't know if you agree, next to Tales from the Crypt, I think this is possibly the best horror TV show ever made. It's a big call. There's been a lot of good ones since.
Yeah, so that's a very big call.
I think at the time it definitely was, the pinnacle of horror television for me. Other than, like I said, Tales from the Crypt, because I think you can't
because it was anthology for me, it didn't really feel like a TV series.
That's
it
the
felt
beauty
like
of it.
a bunch of short films.
Well,
that's
how it was designed. So the concept behind it was they would invite very prominent horror directors to come along and make a 1-hour film, which were episodes. But there was no rules, there was no regulation. Like, they had full autonomy to go away, make a film, and come back. And interestingly, on that, I think the greatest episode of the entire series was Takashi Miike's Imprint, which was the one that the network refused to air.
Yeah, right.
Or, who was it? Was it Showtime? Or I think it was Showtime that was on.
Right.
Who are sort of a cable, and they don't have too much censorship, but they really had an issue with that particular episode. And so when Masters of Horror got a long-awaited box set DVD release,
finally got to see that episode.
Yeah, but they released that separately. It wasn't in the box. They released it on its own, which I guess was a bit of a cash grab, like the unseen episode. It's packaged on its own.
Remember they did that with Ren and Stimpy when Son of Stimpy with the fart episode.
Yes, that's right.
Where he looks for his he looks for his fart.
So I think if you are into horror, you probably already are well aware of the series. If you're getting into horror, it's a good place to go. Some of the directors that have made episodes are John Carpenter, Toby Hooper, Dario Argento, John Landis, Joe Dante, Don Coscarelli, Larry Cohen, Lucky McKee, Brad Anderson, Tom Holland. You could just keep going. There's so many great directors. Do you remember there was actually a third season because it got axed from Showtime, and then I think NBC came along and picked it up and did a third season, but insisted on changing the name, which was, I think, the biggest mistake they could have made. And it was called Fear Itself. So that was the third series. And half of those directors came back and did more episodes, but because it was a network show and they had to water it down, so the horror just didn't land. But I think if they had called it Masters of Horrors Season 3, probably would have lasted a bit longer. I think, it's got a little bit of an inbuilt sort of audience.
Yeah, it had that cachet.
Yeah, and I think when they changed the name, I think they attracted a new audience who thought, hang on, this is kind of soft. Like, it's not that good. But there was also a spin-off show called Masters of Science Fiction, and that one only lasted 6 episodes. So I guess, not quite as prolific. But do you remember when Tales from the Crypt also had a spin-off show, science fiction one? Do you remember that? It was called Perversions of Science.
No.
And instead of the Crypt Keeper, they had a robot. They had a robot like
a horror robot?
Yeah, like a horror host. And it was like a puppet robot. And it would... Or was it CG? I can't remember. But it was definitely a robot that would introduce every episode. And, that didn't last too long either. But anyway, I'm rambling. Masters of Horror, it's a fantastic horror series. And it is in Australia available on Stan, including the imprint episodes. So you can see all of those nasty aborted fetuses and shit floating down the river that Takashi Miike crammed in there. Because he thought... I read somewhere that he thought he was well within the... acceptance or the what's the word for it, the guidelines of what you could permit on American television. Shows how different cultures are.
Look, that is actually, like, if you watch a lot of British TV, which I do, like swearing and all that sort of stuff, that's completely fine on anything late night. Whereas they're still so puritanical about it here in the US and stuff.
More in the US.
You can have a movie on 8:30 with swearing, not a problem. You have a live show. Oh, no.
Yeah, I know.
Can't have any swearing on live television.
So there you go. Masters of Horror, I do love it. And it's picking it for this episode has really inspired me to go back and watch a lot of it. Cigarette Burns, the John Carpenter one, was great, particularly.
I remember that, but I remember thinking it felt very... what's that Roman Polanski film? Which is the book version?
The Ninth Gate?
Ninth Gate.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, this is just like the film version of the Ninth Gate.
Very similar atmosphere, that's for sure, yeah. Okay.
Well, it was in the Ninth Gate, it was like a book.
Yeah.
That was the,
and
anyone who read the book.
It was a real
and
film.
this was a real film, yeah. But,
But a guy gets spooled in it, that's great.
Yeah, like he does it to himself. Yeah, which, Johnny Depp does not do to himself in the Ninth Gate.
You can't turn yourself into a page.
No. Stupid idiot.
Yeah.
What was Polanski thinking of?
Lick your fingers and flip your stomach.
Yeah.
All right, on to you, my friend.
Well, look, I was going to talk about another TV show, but now that you reminded me that the episode is all about the extreme.
Okay. Yeah, well, kind of.
I thought I'd go back on this film, and I only actually caught a couple of episodes of it when it aired on TV really late at night. But I've since bought the complete series, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But do you remember Blood Drive?
Oh, yes, I do actually. I remember processing that when I was working.
It definitely has an Australian DVD release. So I think probably through Viavision.
And it kind of had a grindhousey kind of cover. The title treatment was very grindhousey.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And it does star Alan Ritchson, who is the now famous for kind of being Reacher in the new Jack Reacher series.
Yep.
And basically he plays this cop who's forced to compete in this semi-underground version of like Death Race 2000, where they race across America in these cars, but what the cars are powered on, I think it's like I think it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic dystopian future where fuel is hard to come by, but all these cars are powered on by blood.
That's right.
So they,
it's coming back to me. I never watched it, but everybody was telling me I got to see it, and that was the concept for sure.
Yeah. So they that any pedestrians or anything like that they hit, they shove into the
Fuel up.
They fuel up, and
Yeah.
that's how they continue the race. And it's all full of it's like the wacky races on speed. It's really, really.
So how do you
Like a lot of
do
fun-
you just fill the tank with blood? Like that's how. it
Well,
works?
some of them have like a the engine is actually like a meat grinder type machine. So you chuck them into the front of the
Fucking hell,
car,
okay.
and it spits
Like,
it
I
all
mean,
out, and there's like
You know me. I always say to people, suspend your disbelief, right? But I'm trying to think, how the hell does a car run? Like we know how petrol works,
Yeah,
How,
there's
how
a
does
combustion.
blood-
There's
yeah,
some kind of a
that's
combustion.
Right. How does blood work?
Yeah, it's not,
magic. It's magic.
Let's not delve too hard into the science
Because
of
that
it.
Aussie film Road Train, it was the same thing where they feed the bonnet. It's like a mouth.
Yeah.
They just feed it with bodies and it drives.
I just figure it's like chalkboard from Mr. Squiggle. Hurry up, hurry up, and no one questions. How is chalkboard alive? How is Mr. Squiggle alive?
Well, he's an alien with strings.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he's got a rocket ship.
he does have a rocket ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he still seems to breathe air. Yet there's a hole where his nose sticks out, and there's no.
It's a pencil.
It's a pencil, but there's no. There's nothing blocking the oxygen from
Well,
coming
I mean,
into the
at least he's fully leaded.
spaceship. When you said extreme, I didn't think it was going to be extreme puns.
So blood drive. Yeah.
So Blood Drive.
Excellent.
It's available on. I don't know if it's on a streaming service. Actually, I've never actually looked.
So
but
go find it, you lazy bastard.
I do have it on. I've actually got it on Blu-ray, not even on DVD.
Well, we
so-
know, as you said, it had an Aussie release on physical media, so it will be on eBay at least. Like
Yeah.
wherever it is, you can.
you
find
can get hold of it, and as I said, I've only seen the first couple of episodes, but I loved it. So I recommend it.
Don't wanna fall apart again. Can't you see? We're gonna jump off the 3. You mean that much to me. Can't you see? Nobody likes you but me. Finally
That song is Juno. It's by Rob. It's featuring Cleo Alper, and it's from the 2012 remake of Maniac. That is one of the great remakes, don't you reckon?
I did enjoy it, but what's the term that you what is it when you have to caveat your response by acknowledging a conflict of interest?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I know what you're trying to get at.
That's
but,
a really long-worded way to say because I can't think of the term. But I worked on the release of Maniac in Australia.
Yes,
so
right. But that's been and gone. That's
but it's a long time ago, and it was for Bounty Monster, not Monster.
Yeah, I do think it's one of the great remakes, and I think because it's so drastically different from the original. And I think that's what a lot of remakes should bear in mind. Like, be different, and you might get a little bit more respect.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, Elijah Wood's also a lot better looking than
Joe Spinell.
Joe Spinell, the king of the acne scarring.
But again, Maniac is not a bad segue to Beaten to Death. Like, it's a pretty grotty, gross film, and so is this one. And Sam Curtin is the director. He's a local guy. Actually lives in Hobart. He just loves making nasty movies. He's
not as local as we are.
No, not as local as here right now.
Yeah,
but anyone that's not right here right now isn't as local as we are.
That's right.
And this guy, I tell you what, he's one of those guys that you wouldn't peg him for an extreme horror director to talk to or look at. Like, he's a nice guy.
No, that's exactly who I pick as
He's this movie, Beaten to Death, is actually what he calls the third part of his unofficial trilogy, which began with Blood Hunt and Slaughterhouse Killer. And I just really enjoyed this film. It doesn't really it's hard to explain. It just goes from bad to worse to even worse. It's sort of an unrelenting descent into hell, I guess you would say.
And I will say, spoiler, he didn't mention this on the interview, but after we'd stopped recording, he did say that his next couple of films are going to be rom-coms. So there's that. We got that to look forward to.
We'll have a listen and let him do all the talking. And then after that, stick around for the Boneheads. It's great to have you on our show. Thanks for joining us, Sam. How are you?
Thank you. Good. I'm glad to be here. Thanks, guys.
Oh, you're welcome. What a fucking brutal movie this is. Like, Beaten to Death is the name of it, and that's the synopsis right there.
Yeah.
You have a clear affection and affinity for the genre, and I'm just wondering what it is about it that does it for you.
Well, so my sort of creative partner, Ben Jung Clark, and I, we sort of grew up together and we bonded over horror movies. So we kind of went through this phase in our mid to late teens where we were just like absorbing as many horror movies and genre movies. And, it was in the good old VHS and DVD days. So we have like a lot of fondness for that era. And so when we started doing stuff ourselves, we were just drawn to that. So, and we just find it really fun. Like, there is honestly nothing more fun than making a horror movie. I mean, we've only made horror and action movies, but I don't think that you'd have as many laughs on a drama set.
I'm glad you said that because that was. Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say, we just really enjoyed beating the shit out of someone and then beating the shit out of them again and then beating the shit out of them again. And,
that was enjoyable too. So Tom, who's our lead, is our other friend from high school. So that was certainly fun too.
I was going to ask how he came about because you've worked with him a couple of times and only someone that knows you very well would agree to do something like this.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, like we've all been like super close mates since school. And so Tom Roach, I'll just call him Roach. Roach was in our first movie, Blood Hunt, as you know, playing lead bad guy. And he did a phenomenal job, and then the crazy thing about Roach is that he's not a professional trained actor.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been in 2 feature films now.
He's your Bruce Campbell, mate.
Yeah, exactly. We have actually had that that discussion before. What was I saying? Tom Roach. So then when we came up with this idea, we were like, well, it's got to be Roach, and so I was still like trying to piece together like what the story was and how we'd pitch it to him and everything. But then one of the other guys that was involved was just like, "Hey, Roach, I'm gonna make a movie. It's called this," and he's just like, "I'm in."
Did he know what he'd have to go through before he agreed? Because I mean, you put him to hell and back, and fucking hell, like he's practically blindfolded for the whole film, covered in gunk. Like that can't have been easy.
Well, the initial pitch was it's called Beaten to Death, and you're going to be blindfolded for about half of it. And he was like, "Yep, cool, I'm in."
And how did that?
I don't know who I.
Sorry, Ben, I cut you off.
I was gonna say I don't know who I felt more sorry for at the end of the day, him taking off all that gunk, or the next day, the continuity person trying to figure out how to put it all back on again.
Yeah. Well, as far as continuity goes, it was always just like more dirt. But I'm sure he's told the story. He'd get home and he'd jump in the shower, and it was just filth coming off him, just pure filth straight down the shower drain.
That is awesome. Hey, I'm wondering though, like, do you, as a fan of this sort of genre, do you write for the shock value, or do you, are you artistic and let the story, inform how gross it gets? Which way does it work for you?
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
So, like, we love the nasty stuff because, again, like when you're sitting in a room and you're coming up with this stuff, you're just having a great old time, It was like, oh, then we can stab out his eyes, and then you can spew on himself, and ha ha ha. But I mean, in this though, I think that all of the violence does sort of have context to the story.
Yeah.
And so, like, occasionally we'll get a review and it'll say like, senseless violence, blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, for one, there's nothing wrong with senseless violence, but for two, I think that you can see very much cause and effect in this movie. And it's not just people being mean to each other for the sake of it. There's, without spoiling too much, someone then sort of feels like they need to avenge that. And
well, you've kind of, making movies like this, you've got to be prepared to answer those questions, don't you? Because so many people just knee-jerk when they react to these kind of movies. People that are not used to watching horror films. I don't know why they have an opinion at all if they don't watch them in the first place, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, like whenever you're talking to someone that's like, not a horror fan or whatever, you're often asked the question, so why horror? And
it must be a sick bastard that writes that kind of stuff.
Well, coming from you, like, you understand, but when it's someone that's like, not of that genre, and it's like, well, we love it,
Absolutely. What do your parents think of what you do?
Oh, so like, I love telling this story about my mum, where I think that another thing that set me off on this like horror journey was when I was a kid, like I was always wanting to, like I was going to the video shop a lot and I was wanting to get like the really cool stuff. And like, not that I'm from a particularly conservative family or anything like that, but Mum was very respectful of the rating system we have here in Australia.
Yeah.
And so like, it wasn't until like, as I got closer to like being able to watch MA movies and R movies, like, I think at 14, maybe, and depending on what the movie was, maybe I could watch an MA. And so then I was just kind of like making up for lost time.
Yeah, right. Good answer.
I used to get so mad. Like the boys at school would be talking about like, oh, this movie Predator, and bloke gets his arm shot off, and Highlander, they're chopping dudes' heads off, and I'm just like, come on, I want to see this.
Yeah, we kind of all grew up in the same kind of environment, I think. It was all, when we got our fix of these films, it was always at someone else's house.
Yeah, exactly. Or a sleepover.
You always had that one friend whose parents didn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'll take the R-rated Total Recall, not the M-rated.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, on Total Recall, like I remember one time, it was on TV and it would have been like the cut version, and Mum let me watch it, and I would have been younger. And like, can you remember the bit where the dude like lets the baby out of his stomach, and I was just like, nah, too much.
Yeah, hope mum doesn't walk in right now.
yeah.
Speaking of mother, I want to just touch upon the story for a little bit here without giving any spoilers away. And if we do venture into spoilers, I'll remove it from the cut. How about that? But I'm wondering about the mother in this film. Was there a reason that you wrote her into it? I was trying to figure out if she's there against her will, or did you envision her to be the matriarch that kind of taught her boys what to do? What was her purpose?
Yeah, so she was the mother, and so I guess what we were trying to do was have it as like just the country family that's like quite, I won't say inbred, quite insular.
Yeah.
And so that's why you've got the mum, and then you've got the three boys, which I described as the Billy Goats gruff. It was like, oh, wait till you meet my brother, wait till you meet my bigger brother. So no, mum wasn't held against her will.
Okay.
And I think that Ned was actually a very good son for looking after her.
Yep, totally. I there's so many ways that people can interpret that though, because she kind of doesn't talk. She gives the side eye quite a bit. Is she sort of in distress? Like it's a really cool thing. Like you probably had it set in stone how you envision her, but I think there's a lot of interpretation there. It's cool.
And would you like to? Well, thank you. And another fun fact is that was Ben Jung Clark's mother.
Oh. Is she there against her will?
Yeah. Well, actually, just on Facebook today, she posted this really cute photo of her at JB Hi-Fi where she picked up two DVDs.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And back to your parents, you said your mother was very respectful of the ratings. Does she attend your premieres and things like that?
Yeah. Like mum and dad still help out massively. They them along with one of my friends help out with the catering. Dad's he's retired now, and but he's like a very hands-on tradie guy, and so he builds us props, and he's very proud of the fact that when Jack, I'll spoil it, when he ends up in a grave, the dad dug the grave. This old bloke of 70, he was.
That's awesome.
It was very family. Except I had one little criticism was that Jack was supposed to be blind, but he dug this grave in this perfect rectangle. I wasn't going to say anything to Dad.
You can have a feel for symmetry.
yeah, exactly.
So when it comes to making a film this explicit, this graphic, and pushing the boundaries, do you struggle getting a rating that you want? Do you want it to be a heavier rating than what you got? Are you happy with the rating it got?
Yes, we did actually. So, our previous movie, Slaughterhouse Killer, got an R rating in Australia, and so then we thought that Beaten to Death would be a shoo-in, and then it got MA, and we're like, oh man.
What I saw was clearly an R-rated film.
Yeah. So I don't know how that came about, but yeah.
Oh well, more people are going to watch it legally.
That's true. It opens it up to a broader audience.
Yeah, that's right. Good. People that probably shouldn't see it will.
Well, yeah, I guess so long as you're with a parent or guardian, then the 5-year-old can watch it.
So we like to sort of, as we get towards the end of these conversations, we like to sort of go into your childhood and find out the kind of films that you were raised on. And given the story you told us of your mum, what kind of movies were you watching as a kid? What lit the bug? What was it that got you into filmmaking?
I can actually recall the very moment that I was like, yes, I want to make movies. And it's probably not a real cool one, but I was at Kmart, and I would have been maybe 13 years old, and it was when Star Wars Episode 1 was coming out, and they had all the toys, and then they had the TV that was just playing the trailer on repeat. And I watched the trailer for Episode 1, and it showed the Gungans coming out of the mist, riding their horse things, and I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. I've got to do that.
Little did we know that was going to be the best part of the whole film.
Exactly.
Was that stuff coming out of the mist? I remember that trailer. I remember being in the cinema, going to the cinema specifically to watch the trailer, and watching that and just going, this is going to be awesome. And then watching the film and going, this is not awesome.
It's still my favorite of the prequel trilogy.
But it's also funny, Ben. Like you and I have a sneaky suspicion we're quite a bit older than Sam here, so our perception of that movie is probably a lot different.
Is tainted, yeah, definitely. You can't, yeah.
So given
like
that,
what called him Jar Jar Binks, it was there was once, at a certain age you're like, no, I can't get it.
he squeezed me.
He's gonna die. That's sticker with. It was just you like I can't. Like, am I watching the Muppets here? What's this?
I mean, here's a question that you may have just answered like moments ago. So, you're known for all of these hardcore horror films, but is there a movie that you love that people would be surprised to know?
Please don't say Phantom Menace.
No. This is a random one. Have you ever seen the movie Begin Again?
Oh, yes, it's the second part of John Carney's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I just have like the biggest soft spot for that movie because in complete contrast to what we're talking about with the movies we made, it's just so nice. It's just like this nice, easy watch, and they're singing the songs.
It used to be a poster behind me on the podcast.
Oh, really?
My favorite film of all times, once the first one. Like
I still haven't seen once, but it's been on my list for so long. But once a year, I'd probably watch Begin Again because it's just so bloody lovely.
Yeah, it is. I love that. Bloody lovely. Like coming from the Gorehound himself. But you know what, man? Like Beaten to Death is a movie that every not only Gorehound but horror fans should track down and watch. And I loved it. I love that you push the envelope, and there's no soft spots in this movie. There's no breathing room.
There's no off position on the Beaten to Death switch.
No.
Yeah. Basically, it just starts with a guy getting beaten and it ends with a guy getting beaten.
And is there what's next for you? Are you gonna ramp it up even harder?
Well, we kind of feel like in a way we've like closed this trilogy that we've made between Blood Hunt, Slaughterhouse, and now Beaten to Death. And like we did those all really low budget, DIY, down and dirty, and all kind of dealing with similar themes and like all shot similar locations. And so we are trying a few different things now where like we're still wanting to work in horror and action, but we'd like to actually get something of a budget together for the next one. So yeah.
Well, I mean, for a low budget film, Beaten to Death looks glorious, mate. It looks like there's plenty of money in it, so you've made a really good looking film. But good luck with that. Like, I'm down for whatever it is you do next.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. All right, man. Well, thank you for your time. We're going to push on with the show, but dude, everyone should go and check it out. I think you can buy it now. It's available on one of the platforms. Definitely get behind it. Thanks, mate.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Welcome to Bonehead Weekly Fun Size. James, go ahead and present our topic this week.
So for this week, our dear Australian listeners, we were thinking there's been an entire huge wave of adult coloring books, but not every movie has been adapted to have an adult coloring book. So we thought we would talk about films that need to have coloring books that probably haven't been made. Maybe they have, but I don't know of them being made because, you got your Lord of the Rings coloring book now. There's tons of these coloring books, but I think there's other ones. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a Lord of the Rings coloring book. There's several.
And I'm not allowed to make two of the jokes. One of them was Chad's and one of them was mine that are inappropriate. And I'm just going to say it out loud. Then I'm not allowed to do it because they're afraid we're going to offend everybody. And they're probably right, but I'm still mad. Go, James.
I think the coloring book based on a film that we need, and I would actually say it needs to be two coloring books. They can be in one, maybe one that's old school 80s flip, like one side's one, one's the other. But I think, gentlemen, we need a Fortress and Fortress 2 coloring book.
Why that?
Why Fortress?
Because I thought Highlander, but
where I was going to go.
But unfortunately, Highlander does have a coloring book for adults. I saw it 2 days ago, and I was like, "Oh,
it came from?"
No, it's not. Actually, where it came from, Joe, is to my left is my kids' old coloring books on the bookshelf.
Oh, see, I originally thought the idea was from one of the worst marketing gimmicks of all time was when Dune released their comic book during the David Lynch one.
Oh, yeah, no, but honestly, Fortress and Fortress 2, there's so many. There's technology you can color. There's Christopher Lambert you can color. What more do you need in a coloring book, Joe? Why wouldn't you do Fortress? Those are fun films.
You took it all away from me. You just took it all. Chad.
Well, okay, Chad. What do you want to see in your coloring books, Chad?
So here's me. I hate coloring books because I cannot color within the line. I never have been able to. Even as an adult male, I cannot color in the lines.
Listeners, that's not because he has any muscle control issues. It's because he always eats the crayons.
Yeah, I get too honestly, I get bored, and then I just start
persimmon
scribbling.
and can't stop chewing.
It's not, I know people do it for a calming thing. It doesn't calm me because if I'm like, if I touch the black, it's going to go over. So I want a comic book that's maybe a little simpler. And I don't think that there would be a comic book as simple as Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
That's a good one. I would
think
color
it already probably exists.
I don't think it does. You can look it up, but it's just, it's as simple
I don't
as
have any kind of technology to make that happen.
It's as simple as having a giant tomato killing a person. Both things I love. I don't know why Joe's taking a selfie.
I wasn't. I took a picture of all three of you.
Okay.
But James was blurred out by a microphone.
So yeah, I just think Attack of the Killer Tomatoes would be a nice, simple coloring book where I wouldn't get too angry and just start scribbling on it.
So I hate coloring too, and I'm not allowed to do my picks, and I have a huge zit on the side of my nose. So this is where I'm going to go with this. Ordinary People.
Oh,
it
yeah.
shouldn't have won Best Picture. No one talks about this shit 40-some years later. It's boring as hell, just like coloring.
Chad, real quick.
Oh, look, the kid died and committed suicide. Boo-hoo.
Oh my
If
God.
we don't do that...
Could that be the opening coloring page? There'd be so much to color.
Can I get some red? Anyway, that is, and then here's something Chad gives me shit about. I'm going to do it too for the other one, Driving Miss Daisy.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, because he learns to read. It's a valuable lesson. By the way, Chad, there is an Attack of the Killer Tomatoes coloring book, but it's not based on the film. It's based on the cartoon.
Yeah. Not
And
the
that's
same.
Yep. You're right, Chad. So,
I
yes,
think we're pulling at strings. This has been Bonehead Weekly Fun Size.
this will be
didn't
our last
see
show.
this.
We're canceled now.
He didn't see this shit coming.
Of course, as I said at the start of the show, shout out to the Boneheads. Their podcast is Bonehead Weekly, and it's a full-length thing. It's a video podcast. You can find it anywhere you do get podcasts, but as Ben alluded to, YouTube is the place because of those purdy mouths.
Purdy mouths. Sometimes, especially with Chad, who's like usually in an all dark room, all you can really see is his mouth.
He's like a mully grub.
Yeah.
Or like you on Jarrett's segment back there. Yeah. By the way, go back and watch the PE class.
I was
It drops
I was
tomorrow
overly
morning.
lit.
If you're listening to this on Monday as this show drops, go to our YouTube and Facebook tomorrow. Watch the video. It's hilarious. Ben turns into, as I said, a cocoon alien.
A bookworm.
We are going to recommend some movies now. And look, I wanted to keep this extreme. And in the end, I just ended up with a movie that's pretty brutal. It's not exactly extreme because it is based on a Stephen King novella, but it is as extreme as I think I've ever seen Stephen King go. It's called Big Driver from 2014. This is directed by Mikhail Solomon, who is the guy that made the Hard Rain with Keanu Reeves. And
I love Hard Rain.
Yeah, and Morgan Freeman. He did A Far Off Place with Reese Witherspoon back in the day for Disney. He also made Salem's Lot with Rob Lowe, that remake.
The one they shot here.
Yes. And this is, as I said, Big Driver. It stars Maria Bello, Olivia Dukakis, Ann Dowd, and Joan Jett, of all people, who plays like a barmaid. But this movie is, in every way, a very stock standard rape revenge movie, which is very strange for a Stephen King story. He doesn't usually go down that sort of route. And this is where it's very Stephen King. She plays an author. Would you believe it?
Shock
She
horror.
plays an author, and she's on her way home from a convention, driving through the backwoods of America, and she gets a flat tire outside of an abandoned gas station, and she flags down
On the outskirts, an abandoned gas station on the outskirts of town.
She flags down this guy in like a big pickup truck, and he's this big fat sort of redneck type, and then there's no way of pussyfooting around it. He just brutally rapes her and then leaves her for dead in a ditch, and it is really nasty. It's almost irreversible nasty. Like it's really shocking. And I couldn't believe I was watching this from a Stephen King story. I couldn't believe it was MA. Like, it should be R-rated. It's that full on.
Yeah.
But she ends up waking up and she finds 3 other dead women beside her in the ditch, which obviously are, previous victims. But she decides not to report it because she sort of has her reputation in mind. Big things are happening in her career. She didn't want to stall all that, right? So she thought, I'm going to just sort of suck it up. I'm going to deal with it in my own way. So she finds her way to a diner, calls a limousine, and drives back to town. And that's the end of it. And then, I think we're a few weeks later to maybe a couple of months later, she gets a phone call. Someone has found her car near that gas station. And tracked her down, and this right there triggers her, and inspires her to sort of hatch up a revenge plot, and she sort of dips into her imagination as an author and a storyteller, and comes up with a really, really brutal campaign of revenge, and that's as far as I'll leave it, because there are so many twists and turns and spoilers. But let's just say it's fucking nasty. It's a real rape revenge movie, and the revenge is nasty. And I just appreciate this from a Stephen King story.
Look, it is very unlike King.
Yep.
Like, especially if there's no kind of metaphysical component
No.
to it.
And it's a novella, so it's like a short story. I think it's like 150 pages. And I just, I watched it with my wife. She had real trouble watching it. Like, she doesn't like this kind of thing. It's not it's not so much like the themes of, like, rape and all that. She just doesn't like overly violent movies. And this one, like I said, should be an R-rated movie. Why it's not?
She likes a nice, gentle rape. With soft music and.
You're lucky it's my wife we're talking about.
It's getting cancelled.
I'm anticipating a text message in a few hours. Son, you going to remove that from the show?
Show, yeah.
I think we've covered our tracks there with a little bit of context. It's all good.
Yeah.
Fun and games, right?
Funny games.
Yeah. Yes, funny games, indeed. That's my recommendation. Big Driver. Good title, too.
Good title, yeah.
Yeah. 2014.
Well, I think I'm just going to jump on the old bandwagon
right.
of the old rape revenge films.
Rightio.
And talk about what I think is probably one of the most successful, and I don't mean that in terms of box office or anything like that, but I just mean in terms of staying true to the original. So I should couch that by saying the most successful remakes.
Okay.
And by that I mean staying true to the theme of the original, while improving upon it.
Okay.
And that is 2010's remake of I Spit on Your Grave.
Oh, wow. That's not where I thought you were going. I'm looking at it right now, too, because it's behind you there.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Because the original, which admittedly I've only ever watched on Laserdisc.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Because I'm a Renaissance man.
Yes.
There's a lot of odd stuff that goes on in that movie because and especially if you watch it on Laserdisc, and the thing about Laserdisc is when it gets halfway through, you have to take the disc out, flip it around.
I forgot about that.
It's like it's got like a natural intermission.
Yeah.
And so basically on the Laserdisc, the first half is the raping, then you switch the disc around, and it's the revenging.
Is that how they label the disc?
Yeah.
Side,
this is the
side
side
A.
of the rape side, and this is the revenge side. So you can just watch the revenge.
Yeah.
But it has there's some weird stuff in it. Whereas this one, like the raping is brutal, but the revenge,
even more.
The revenge is so good and so inventive. It's like, I find it like it's like a Saw film, but not as ridiculous and over the top. Which is
you've really inspired me to go back and watch this because I loved it when I saw it. And then I watched the sequels because it did spawn a franchise, which I think a couple of the sequels were half decent.
I think they're all actually pretty good.
Yeah, and just an unlikely franchise too, I might say.
Yeah, who would have thought? Like it's definitely like DTV.
Yeah, 100%.
Like a DTV franchise because
Yeah.
it's not the kind of thing that you like. Although maybe the first one did go theatrical.
It did.
Know.
I think it did. Maybe not in Australia. Maybe in the States.
In the States, yeah. It's just a hard one. Like, it's a hard sell on date night. like, it's one that,
I mean, come on. Like, it's all in the title.
Yeah.
It's a title that gives you an idea of what you're in for.
Yeah.
I love the original, and I think, but the original, like, it's no Last House on the Left. I think they're very similar films, and I think I prefer Last House on the Left, but of the remakes, I think I prefer I Spit on Your Grave to the Last House on the Left remake.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, I prefer House by the Edge of the Park over all of them.
Yeah, right.
Mainly because it has a great dance sequence.
Well, I mean, you want a great dance sequence in all rape revenge movies, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one, look, why didn't I just talk about House on the Edge of the Park?
Why didn't you?
That one is so totally weird because these two mechanics, they're working late night on a Friday, and this rich couple pull in with their limousine or whatever the hell it is, to their garage, hoping that they get the car fixed. And in talking to the mechanics, then they say, "Look, why don't we're having a party tonight? Why don't you guys come around?" And so they do, and it's what's the name? It's actually the main guy from Last House on the Left.
The remake one,
the original one.
Oh, the original. Oh, yes. Yeah, I've forgotten his name.
And they come around, and the other guy is in all the he's just like Giovanni Ribisi or something. Or
he's Giovanni Ribisi's Love's brother.
No, it's not him. But he's in like all of those. He's in a lot of Fulci films and The Crazies and all sorts of stuff. This guy's in, he's they're kind of mice and men type couple where he's a kind of bit dim-witted, but they're also, serial rapists. And so they get invited to this party and they terrorize the party goers. But then there's like a twist, and it's great. But during the party, they get the kind of the slower one to they're playing some 70s disco song, which is great. And they, he's like, wow, yeah, you can show them how to dance. And so he's like, starts doing this really kind of stupid dance, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And all the while, the other guy's egging him on, like, yeah, show him how it's done, man. And then halfway through, he kind of gets the idea that they're all laughing at him. And then he gets, even though he's laughing at him, and he gets really offended, like, can't you see they're making fun of you, you idiot? Kind of thing. It's just some amazing bits. But the star of it, Annie Bell, only passed away pretty recently.
Oh, really? Okay. Interesting. Like you mentioned something there that I would love to see done is sort of a rape revenge version of Mice and Men. Imagine that. Lenny's gone on full attack.
Yeah,
got to stop him.
That's it. You can't. Yeah, you can't.
Got a taste of the rabbits. Yeah. The bunnies will say, "Here's an Easter reference for everybody. Happy Easter, everybody."
I could have talked. Why not just talk about Easter Bunny Kill Kill?
Yeah, why not?
Chad Ferron's great extreme Easter themed horror.
I guess.
film.
Well, this episode's dropping on Easter Monday, so by the time most people hear it, it's been and gone.
It's been and gone.
Yes.
And someone's knocking at the door. Is his superior extreme film?
Yes. Speaking of been and gone, this episode has been and gone. We're at the end, mate. At the end.
Excellent. I'm so glad that I don't do the letterbox thing anymore because I just name dropped way too many films to have to pop them all in at the end.
True. Your own worst enemy, they would say. Do you remember in the early days when I would just lay on title after title? If I've spoken for it for all of 5 seconds, it's going in there.
It's going on that list, yeah. So you can track it down.
Yes, what you can track down, though, is the music from this show on our Spotify playlist, which is Good Movie Monday, the music. We're going to end with a song from Irreversible, which is a very extreme, not horror film, but it's just an extreme film. It's a fantastic film. Do you like that one? Like is probably not the right word.
I've experienced it.
Yes.
I was actually originally, but I completely forgot.
Yep.
Last night I was like, I know I'll talk about Climax.
Oh, yeah.
The more recent Gaspar Noé film.
Yep.
And which is, does definitely kind of parallel Irreversible in certain.
He's
certain
a purveyor of extreme and perverse kind of cinema for sure.
Yeah.
Well, this song is called Night Beats by Thomas Balgelter, and it's a banger. But thanks Ben, and thanks for everybody for listening. Another
you can't call a
episode.
song a banger when it's in a rape revenge film.
That's the perpetrator's role.
That's yeah.
I apologize.